The Mesa Chamber of Commerce Inside Business podcast brings you a unique view of Mesa through its vibrant business community and the subjects that are important. The podcast is produced in the Mesa Chamber of Commerce Media Studio. Our podcast is hosted by Mesa Chamber of Commerce CEO Sally Harrison. Please enjoy this episode of the Mesa Chamber Inside Business podcast.
Hi, this is Sally Harrison with the Mesa Chamber, and we are back in the podcast studio with Kayla Carrizosa with Carreon Payments, who's here to talk about our Women's Business Connection.
Yes, I'm
Welcome
so
back.
excited. Thank you for having me back.
Of course. So tell us about the upcoming Women of Influence in Mesa panel. What inspired this conversation? Why is it important to you and the ladies at the Women's Business Connection?
Yeah, the Women of Influence in Mesa panel was created really to highlight women who are making meaningful impact through leadership, business, public service, in general, just making a mark on our community in a positive way. So we started having conversations about what that looked like, who was making those kinds of waves in our community. And we realized it goes beyond title, it goes beyond accomplishments, and we wanted to focus on who those people are, the journeys that led them to their positions, challenges they faced, and then the things that they're actually doing in the community to make those positive changes. Then we decided to take it one step further and say, let's see if we can inspire some of the women in our community to follow in their footsteps in different ways, whether that's from a motherhood perspective, managing their life perspective.
The challenge?
Yeah, leadership perspective. How did they become such a great leader? So that was kind of the formation of this panel, and that's where we started with all of it.
Well, I know you had a hand in developing the discussion topics. What themes are you most excited to explore with our panelists?
Yeah, so I think the first one would be leadership journeys. That's one of my favorites, at least. What inspired each panelist to get into leadership? I know that it's not always a path that's chosen by the person. Sometimes leadership chooses you. So we are very interested to hear the journeys of each woman and what they went through to get to that position, whether it was chosen or it chose them. And then I know some of the favorites from the other board members were understanding the experiences, personal experiences that help shape them as a leader or shape them into becoming a leader. Those are always usually very unique stories and experiences I think a lot of women will be able to relate to at the Women's Business Connection. And then kind of hoping to talk a little bit during that time about how they're involved in the community and what different things that community members, not necessarily leadership people or people in high positions, but what individuals can do from their perspective on shaping the community in a positive way.
I don't think you have to be the owner or general manager of a company to be a leader, right?
I agree.
Yeah.
I think you can be a leader at home to your family. You can be a leader in your community. There's so many ways to make a positive impact in this community. I think the perception of people is that you have to have a title or power or money, and you don't. So we're hoping that will shine a light on those.
That's great. Yeah. I know, titles mean a lot to a lot of people. It's usually not the people with the title, right?
Yes.
It's others. Yeah.
Exactly. So we're really hoping that there will be some positive conversation and people leave feeling empowered to make change in their community, even if it's small actions that are repetitive.
That's great. Well, this panel brings together women from business, community leadership, and public service. What makes that combination so powerful?
It's kind of a little bit about what we just talked about, right? Leadership comes in different areas of your life, whether it's work or family or community. And so having people in different positions and different areas of our community being brought together to talk about those things is going to create diversity, hopefully something that everyone can relate to in the room. We're hoping to make it so that it's a well-rounded conversation and attendees can hear how leadership principles can apply across all different roles. So we're hoping that they can take something from each panelist and say, I'm going to apply that to my family. I'm going to apply this to my community. That's a really great key for me to take to my business. So we wanted to make sure that the panelists were unique and not just all CEOs or all people in political roles. We wanted to try to mix it up and bring that to our attendees.
That's great. Well, you mentioned conversations. So one of the goals is to have an authentic conversation rather than a traditional presentation. Talk about what you, as an attendee, should expect from that format?
Yeah, I think a lot of the times people in these higher positions, whether it's political or CEOs, are often seen as unattainable or unapproachable because they don't want to bother them. They don't want to take up their time. And so we didn't want a prepared speech. We didn't want to have it so structured. We really wanted to get a little bit more raw and authentic with the conversation. And we felt like the panel would be a more approachable way to do that. We hope that our panelists, including you, share more of those personal experiences.
I'm an open book.
We want to know kind of a peek behind the curtain into their lives. What is... yeah, exactly. What's going on behind the scenes? What are some things that you struggled with? What are some things that you did to get through those struggles? What built you? What broke you down? We want to know all the little pieces. I think women often feel they have to be extremely strong and extremely powerful, or at least that's the facade that they have to put on in public. And so we're hoping that that authentic conversation, rather than just a prepared speech, will allow the panelists to open it up and allow the attendees to really be able to relate and then kind of take those relatable pieces home with them.
I love it. I think that will be much more fun than standing there with the PowerPoints.
I think so. We want to know what makes them tick, like you said, not so much just this is what I do. This is our call to action.
Right.
Of course we want that. But
when people ask that, I hear it all the time, especially in our networking events. So what do you do? It's like, I'm an insurance agent. It's like, okay, but the question should have been, who are you? Like, tell me about you, what you like to do, who you are, not what you are. Like,
exactly. I mean, it's even small things like maybe you'll be able to, use a strategy that a city councilwoman uses to play golf instead of network. And so that's how she's incorporating her golf into networking rather than having to go to every single networking meeting that's out there. How do you lose your hobbies, or how do you not lose your hobbies, I should say? How do you not lose time with your family, but you're still running your business or you're still doing your job? So just little things like that make you guys run and make you powerful and successful, I think are keys that people don't always know.
That's great. Well, many people see successful leaders from a distance. What are you hoping attendees learn about the personal journeys behind these leadership roles?
I think that the things that come to mind for me are that I don't think that they all started with the answers, right?
Or after almost 18 years, have the answers at all.
Right. I think about it as a new mom that I'm a year into being a new mom. I still don't have all the answers, but I might have more than I did a year ago or more than someone that's a brand new mom. I think about that in the same way of leadership. You guys didn't have all the answers. You were doing some of the right moves, and eventually over time you learn the answers, but you're still figuring it out. But when you're in a powerful position or in a presentation format, you look very put together and very strong and very, eloquent. And so we want to make sure that we're kind of seeing what goes into making that happen, right?
You should see me on a Saturday or Sunday when I don't have to go out in public.
Exactly. I think that's what we want to know, and what women especially can relate to is that there's a lot of work that goes into that. So we want to know the personal journeys that go behind that, and that you didn't start with all the answers and how you got to them. But also we want to know a little bit about the challenges, because specifically to women, there tend to be more challenges in almost every industry. And on top of that, a lot of us are moms, a lot of us are wives. And so there's those added expectations of life that come with it. So it tends to be a little bit harder for women in the workforce or in political, standings to have success because we have all these other things that we have to do. So hearing a little bit about those journeys too and that balance, I think will also help people know that it's normal and there's, ways and tools that you can use to persevere.
I love it. So the panel will discuss women in leadership in public facing positions. Why do you think those conversations are still important today?
I think that kind of going back to what I was just saying, it's not talked about the challenges that women face. We often stay quiet because we think that talking about it makes us look weak. I think that's at least my perspective on what I see in the world today is women have to be just as strong as men. And we can't complain about it because that starts to diminish our credibility, and there starts to be concern with us being in those positions. So providing an open format for them to talk about it, I think is really important. And I think that it's I'm hoping encouraging to other people that are either considering going into leadership roles or they're in leadership roles and currently encountering that pushback or that struggle maybe internally, to know that there are these challenges, or to expect these challenges and how to face them and how to handle them, or how to not put those pressures on themselves. I just think in general, we don't talk about it anymore. It's almost like a faux pas to say that you're struggling as a woman or struggling as a mother. You don't want to let anybody know that. So I think that those are so important just in general to talk about because they're not talked about.
Yeah.
I hope that answers that question.
No, I agree. I agree. What do you hope attendees take away from this conversation, both in terms of their own leadership journey and then their ability to make a positive impact locally?
You said it earlier perfectly. Leadership does not require a title. Leadership is in every aspect of our lives. So it starts with taking initiative. It starts with serving others in whatever capacity that you can. Every person that you know has the ability to make a positive impact in our community in small ways or in large ways. It just depends on what time they have, what, availability of funds or commitment they have. Each person is going to be different, but something matters more than
Everybody
nothing.
has something to bring to the table.
Exactly.
And, when you talk about like funds, some people have funds, but some people don't. And some people have time.
Exactly.
Or they have a talent that
or experience
they can bring in, right? They can mentor others.
Exactly.
You really, you can't say I don't have anything to offer because it's just not true.
It's exactly it. And
pretty much everybody has something, and some people have multiple, avenues that they can go down to offer, leadership.
Right.
To others.
Right. I think that the perception of it is that you have to have the money or you have to have the power of the title. And so I think that the main thing that we're hoping to come out of this is that that's not true, that you don't have to have that. Everybody has something to give, and these are different ways to do that. The other thing I think we're hoping to come out of it is the relatability to the struggles that people may be facing. That it's okay, they're real, we can talk about it, and there's ways to navigate around it without feeling like you have to internalize constantly, and kind of push through those struggles. And then the last thing is, and we kind of haven't touched on this too much, but we're hoping that we can get some insight to if there are people, attendees that are interested in becoming involved in the community or running for some kind of office or being the future CEO of their company. What steps would they take to get there? What does that look like? So kind of hoping to get a little bit of mixture of something for everybody to walk away with.
I think that's great. Well, if someone's considering attending but isn't sure whether it's for them, what would you say to encourage those ladies to join us?
I would say if you have an interest in personal growth, which I think most people do, if you have an interest in leadership, which leadership is in every area of your life, so you should have an interest in that. Or if you have an interest in community involvement, then you should probably be there, because there is going to be something for every single person to take away. This isn't just to hear what's happening in our city or happening with the chamber. This is trying to dive into the lives of women in powerful positions that can teach us something that we can take home and apply to every area of our life. You don't need to be a chamber member to come. We encourage other people to come check it out. You don't need to be a business owner or an exec or even interested in politics necessarily. This is really open forum for us to learn how to better ourselves as business owners, women, moms, sisters, friends, or volunteers in the community, whatever it may be. So I'm hoping that between the real stories that we're hearing and the challenges faced, that everyone will take something away. And so I will encourage everybody, and I would encourage anybody listening to this to encourage everybody to come and listen. I think everyone will leave with something.
I think it'll be a fun panel. Okay, you mentioned that I'm part of the panel, and do you want to talk about who your other panelists are?
Absolutely. We have Councilwoman Duff from District 4, Councilwoman Goforth from District 5, and Councilwoman Taylor from District 2. And then, like you mentioned, yourself, representing CEO of the Mesa Chamber. All very, very impressive women that we're so excited to talk to. Every single one of you has such a huge impact on our community in very different ways. So I'm very excited.
Yeah, no, it'll be fun. Great women. I'm anxious to share a platform with them. I think it'll be fun. So the date of the next event?
June 23rd, and that is a luncheon or lunches provided, and that's going to be from 11:30 to 1. Like I mentioned, it is not a chamber member exclusive event. So if you are a chamber member, bring a friend. If you're not a chamber member and you hear this, bring them.
Yeah. Well, hopefully we can get a lot of people there to be not just listening, but to be networking with each other, because you never know who you're going to meet. That's something like that. And like you said, they can come as a guest and visit and check out things at the chamber. I think it'll be a fun morning. And it's at the Holiday Inn, right?
The Holiday Inn in Mesa. And additionally, we also have, I mentioned the catered lunch is provided by Holiday Inn. And we also typically have raffle items there. And if you are in business, a moment to introduce yourself and introduce your business as well. So it can be a really great networking opportunity as well.
Well, thank you for coming in to talk about it. I think it'll be a fun day. Always appreciate your time and getting to see you. And I will see you in a couple of weeks.
Sounds great. Look forward to seeing you again soon.
This has been a Mesa Chamber of Commerce Inside Business podcast. You can find all podcast episodes at iTunes, Spotify, or your own favorite podcast website. You can also find them online at mesachamber.org. Content of this podcast is copyright the Mesa Chamber of Commerce, unless otherwise noted.